Today we'll be working in my workbook called Preparing to Leave Mount Sinai, Consecration and Purity. And this is the second book on the first 9 chapters on the book of Numbers. And this is where they're all preparing to finally leave Mount Sinai. Looking at the table of contents, we've had God had given them a number of laws, and he does periodically throughout the whole system. And so we talked about a couple laws about purity and restitution, and then the interesting law about jealousy, which was really kind of interesting. And now we're going into a third one called the vow of the Nazarites. This is where the vow starts. We hear about it a lot of times in the New Testament, but this is where the vow starts. The vow of the Nazarites. And basically, I have 3 men here, and basically 3 men that we consider in the Bible probably Nazarite, which was Elijah, which was Samson, John the Baptist, and Elijah. No, trying to think who the first one was. I think it was Elijah, but anyway, I forgot. You probably remember. I just don't remember. I'll figure it out here real quick. Go ahead.
Okay. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, if a man or woman wants to make a special vow, a vow of dedication to the Lord as a Nazarite, they must abstain from wine and other fermented drink and must not drink vinegar made from wine or other fermented drink. They must not drink grape juice or eat grapes or raisins. As long as they remain under the Nazarite vow, they must not eat anything that comes from grapevine, not even the seeds or skins."
Yeah, it wasn't Elijah, it was Samuel. I just had a blank moment there.
That's
Can
right.
either a man or woman take this vow?
Yeah.
If a man or woman took this special vow, they would be called a
Nazarite.
This special vow is a vow of
dedication
to the Lord. If they take this vow, what 5 drinks can they not drink?
Wine, other fermented drink, vinegar made from wine, grape juice, and grapes or seeds.
Right. Yeah. What can they not eat? That is the seeds or skins, right? Or
right.
Eat the grapes or raisins.
From the grapevine. Yeah.
Yeah. Is anything from the grapevine acceptable to eat or drink if a person took this vow?
No.
It wasn't just intoxication, but worldly luxury that those who vowed were giving up.
During the entire period of their Nazarite vow, no razor may be used on their head. They must be holy until the period of their dedication to the Lord is over. They must let their hair grow long. That's what my grandkids, when they were growing up, my 2 granddaughters, when they went to Pentecostal church, they were not allowed to cut their hair. And like when Chris would go take them to the not the barber shop, but the beauty shop, they screamed and hollered, "My mom said I can't cut my hair." So we weren't allowed to trim their hair.
Interesting. I think on the women's side, it's an endowment, but it does, I mean, that's a little bit different. It's kind of an endowment pleasing to God or something to have long hair or something. But this isn't a vow necessarily. What was another requirement of one who vowed to be a Nazarite?
No razor. They must let their hair grow long.
Right. And this was the outward vow, outward expression of their hair. It wasn't that even that their hair grew long, is that they weren't supposed to keep it up, comb it or even, that's why a lot of times people it would become dreadlocks. The unshorn hair of a Nazarite is rich in symbolic meaning. In ancient Israelite culture, hair was often associated with strength and vitality. By allowing their hair to grow freely, Nazarites demonstrated their reliance on God for strength and sustenance, rather than on their own physical appearance or societal norms. Moreover, the uncut hair served as a constant reminder of the Nazarites' vow and their need to maintain purity and holiness. It was a visible sign of their separation from worldly concerns and their dedication to spiritual matters. This aspect of the vow underscored the importance of outward expressions of inward commitments, a theme prevalent throughout the scriptures. The Nazarite vow was open to both men and women, and it could be taken for a specific period or for a lifetime. Notable biblical figures who probably were Nazarites include Samson, Samuel, and John the Baptist. Each of these individuals played a significant role in Israel's history, and their Nazarite status underscored their unique missions and divine callings, and that's from BibleHub.com. The person who wishes to take the vow of a Nazarite would shave their head before the start of the vow, then leave it uncut and uncombed until the vow is complete. Then they would again shave their head to use their hair as an offering. If a person took the vow of a Nazarite today, it would be for life, as there's no temple to offer it. Dreadlocks would be how the Nazarite hair would eventually look like, although everyone with dreadlocks are not Nazarites. I didn't even think about that, but I realized that, dreadlocks come from not taking care of your hair. So it's kind of like, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Throughout the period of their dedication to the Lord, the Nazarite must not go near a dead body. Even if their own father or mother or brother or sister dies, they must not make themselves ceremonially unclean or on account of them, because the symbol of their dedication to God is on their head. Throughout the period of their dedication, they are consecrated to the Lord.
What could the Nazarite not go near during their vow?
A dead body.
What is the reason not to go near a dead body?
Do not make themselves ceremonially unclean.
Verse 7 is a warning to those who want to take the vow of the Nazarite. What do they need to be aware of?
Even if their parents or siblings died.
Right.
The
Interestingly, this is different than a priest. Leviticus 21, 1 through 2, the Lord says to Moses, speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, a priest must not make himself ceremonially unclean for any of his people who die, except for a close relative, such as his mother or father, his son or daughter or brother. So the priest had more ability to go to an unclean person than a Nazarite did. It is interesting that there are no other requirements, such as abstinence from sexual relations. You would think that would be normal, but that's not part of the Nazarite vow. Samson appears to have violated this law numerous times. However, so let's look at those times. Samson is often accused of breaking his vow by touching the body of a dead lion and by touching the jawbone of a donkey. This clearly breaks the vow, correct? Perhaps not. Take a look again at what the Nazarite vow states in number 6, 6 through 7. When dead bodies were a person under, what dead bodies were the person under a Nazarite vow not to touch? Dead human bodies are mentioned, but not the bodies of dead animals. Human bodies seem to be emphasized when it says mother, father, brother, or sister in number 6, 7. And again in number 6, 9, when it says if a man dies very suddenly beside him, he is defiled. Are the bodies of dead animals implied when it says not to touch any dead body? Perhaps, but this is not explicitly clear, so it is possible that Samson did not break his Nazarite vow by touching dead animals. And that comes from JesusLive.cc. And I will say, as I've gone into, books after you in Numbers, they do make quite a difference between a dead human body as far as cleanliness and a dead animal body. You're kind of unclean from an animal body for just the day, but you're unclean from a human body for 7 days. So there is definitely a difference in that.
If someone dies suddenly in the Nazarite presence, thus defiling the hair that symbolizes their dedication, they must shave their head on the 7th day, the day of their cleansing. Then on the 8th day, they must bring 2 doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest is to offer one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering to make atonement for the Nazarite, because they sinned by being in the presence of a dead body.
If someone dies in their presence, when do they need to shave their head?
They shave their head on the 7th day, day of cleansing.
Right. On the 8th day, what are they to bring to the priest?
2 doves or 2 young pigeons.
What are these animals to be used for?
Sin offering and burnt offering.
And what are the offerings and atonement for?
for the Nazarite because they sinned by being in the presence of the dead body.
Yeah, God required a sacrifice of atonement, a sacrifice of rededication, and the wiping away of the formal days of the vow. This may seem extreme, as a Nazarite did not have a choice in the matter, but rarely would that really be so. First, he should not be near any person that is near death. If he does, it means that that person dying is worth rededicating his life. Second, he should not be in any war situation where people are killed. Therefore, this only leaves unexpected murder of a person beside him. Even then, he can choose whether to give aid and then rededicate his life or leave before the person dies.
Okay. That same day, they are to consecrate their head again. They must rededicate themselves to the Lord for the same period of dedication, and they must bring a year-old male lamb as a guilt offering. The previous days do not count because they became defiled during their period of dedication.
If they were defiled by someone dying in their presence, were they to rededicate themselves?
Yes.
Can that second period be shorter or longer than the first dedication?
The same.
What did they need to bring as a guilt offering?
A year-old male lamb.
So, who were Nazarites in the Bible? Samuel was considered a Nazarite, but not classified as such. 1 Samuel 1:11, and she, Hannah, made a vow, saying, Lord Almighty, if you only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. But he was never actually called a Nazarite, but that's why he's considered a Nazarite, because of that. John the Baptist was also considered a Nazarite. Luke 1:14-15. He'll be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he'll be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he's born. But again, he was never said that he was a Nazarite, but he has the qualities of that. But Samson was really the only one that was classified as a Nazarite. Judges 13:5, you, Samson's mother, will become pregnant and have a son whose head is never to be touched by a razor because the boy is to be a Nazarite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines. So, so it's just interesting to me that even all three of these are basically considered Nazarites. The only one in the Bible that calls it is Samson, and he broke a lot of the rules of Nazarite. So it's an interesting thing. We see people taking vows. Paul takes a vow a number of times, and we believe it was a Nazarite vow, but there wasn't it was for a period of time. So Paul does it in the New Testament for sure.
Now, this is the law of the Nazarite. When the period of their dedication is over, they are to be brought to the entrance to the tent of meeting. There they are to present their offerings to the Lord, a year-old male lamb without defect for a burnt offering, a year-old, how do you pronounce that? Wee lamb?
You lamb, yeah.
Lamb without a defect for a sin offering, a ram without defect for a fellowship offering, together with their grain offerings and drink offerings, and a basket of bread made with the finest flour and without yeast, thick loaves with olive oil mixed in, and thin loaves brushed with olive oil.
The vow of a Nazarite ended with a public ceremony with extensive and expensive sacrifices. What is the first offering they were to make, and what type of offering is it?
1 year male lamb for a burnt offering.
What was the second, and what type of offering is that?
A year-old ewe lamb without defect and was a sin offering.
And what was the third offering, and what type of offering is that?
Ram offering without defect is a fellowship offering.
And what were the last two offerings?
Grain offering and drink.
Right. So, this was actually a pretty expensive offering.
The priest is to present all these before the Lord and make the sin offering and the burnt offering. He is to present the basket of unleavened bread and is to sacrifice the ram as a fellowship offering to the Lord. together with its grain offering and drink offering.
Who presented all the offerings before the Lord?
The priest.
How many offerings are there again?
5.
Yeah.
Then at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the Nazarite must shave off the head that symbolizes their dedication. They are to take the hair, not head, shave off the hair that symbolizes their dedication. They are to take the hair and put it in the fire that is under the sacrifice of the fellowship offering. After the Nazarite has shaved off the hair that symbolizes their dedication, the priest is to place in their hands a boiled shoulder of the ram and one thick loaf and one thin loaf from the basket, both made without yeast. The priest shall then wave these before the Lord as a wave offering. They are holy and belong to the priest, together with the breast that was waved and the thigh that was presented. After that, the Nazarite may drink wine.
Yeah.
That's some ritual.
I know. Yes. Thank goodness we don't have to do sacrifices all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Next, what is the Nazarite to do?
Shave off their hair.
Where is the hair put?
In the fire.
Right. After the hair was taken care of, what was put in the hands of the Nazarite?
A boiled shoulder of the ram and one thick loaf and one thin loaf from the basket.
Right. What is all given to the priest?
Boiled shoulder of the ram, one thick loaf, one thin loaf, breast that was waved, and thigh that was presented.
Right.
This is the law of the Nazarite who vows offerings to the Lord in accordance with their dedication. In addition to whatever else they can afford, they must fulfill the vows they have made according to the law of the Nazarite.
What final offering was given?
Wave offering.
At the end of everything, what then could the Nazarite do?
Drink wine.
According to verse 21, if they wanted to offer even more than the requirement, were they able to do so?
Yes.
The vow of the Nazarite was definitely not to be taken lightly. Okay. 4, a person wanting to take the vow would shave their head before the vow. 6, how many offerings did the Nazarite present at the end of their dedication?
5.
7, no blank can be used on their head.
Razor.
9, the shaven hair was to be put in the fire under the sacrifice of the
fellowship
offering. 12, if the Nazarite goes near a dead body, they become ceremoniously
unclean.
13, Samuel, John the Baptist, and
Samson
were considered Nazarites. 1 down, after the dedication was over, the Nazarite can drink
wine.
If a man or woman wanted to make a special vow and dedication to the Lord, they are called
Nazarite.
A Nazarite cannot go near a
dead
body. On the 8th day after their hair has been defiled, they must bring either 2 doves or 2
pigeons.
8, a Nazarite cannot drink wine, fermented drink,
vinegar,
or grape juice. 10, if Nazarite has to rededicate themselves, they bring a year-old male
lamb
as a guilt offering. And 11, regarding the 2 pigeons or 2 doves, one is a sin offering and the other one is a
burnt
offering. Very good. Okay.